lanzamiento, aquí viene un batazo de Mundito entre right center field, la bola pica, se extiende, viene anotando Spot, empata el juego, también manda para la bola Turner anota y los Phillies se van arriba. Se prepara, Mundito en segunda, el lanzamiento, batazo profundo para el center field, la bola se va, Schwarber Bob, ¡campanazo! Aquí viene el lanzamiento, swing y lo ponchó. Ponche de Alvarado, amigos. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone is doing great. We are here live for another episode of Phillies Weekly on a very interesting week, a very interesting day as well. Happy Easterns to all of you that celebrate Eastern. It's great to be here once again. We're going to be reviewing a very interesting series versus the San Francisco Giants, followed by what we did against the Marlins, and then what we're going to be looking forward this coming week against the Mets and the Cubs. So it's going to be very, very interesting. This program is going to be packed. We got great guesses, and I have, as always, my partner, Jeff Kerr. Jeff, how are you, brother?
Probably better than the Phillies bullpen, Oscar.
Hey, it's going to be an interesting conversation today to talk about the Phils in general. We're going to talk about maybe some of the evolutions that we've seen in hitting. We're going to be talking around the starting pitching that continues to shine, particularly Luzardo this week with Wheeler and Christopher Sanchez. I mean, we're seeing some great things with them. And look, it's going to be packed and it's going to be interesting. And none other than Roger will be joining us momentarily, but none other than Tim Kelly from Mount Patterson would be here with us today. Welcome, Tim. How are you, brother?
I'm good. Good to join you guys. I wish the Philly Fanatic would have had a baseball game this morning. I know Jeff was rooting for that. Instead, they had a dance competition, but we'll take what we can get.
Who won the dance competition, by the way?
I don't know. I left out of protest. I didn't
Come on, guys. What are you talking about? So I'm thinking, Jeff, I saw you in the field kind of doing some of the dancing there. Some of the guys that were doing some break dancing. So I think you were down there doing some break dancing. Those two guys that were there in the field, you were one of them, right?
No, Tim and I would have been participating in the softball game if they would have given us an opportunity.
Oh, my. Well, guys, I mean, look, very interesting week. I mean, when we look at some of the things that happened this week, we ended up with a record of 4-3. It should have been 5-2. By the way, talking about the Philly Fanatic, on his birthday, the Phillies entering this game today were 35-12 on his birthday. Now we're 35-13 after the not so nice ending to the story that we experienced today. But overall, we're 13-9. Quick question for you: 9-4 at home and 4-5 away. If I would have told you in the beginning of the season that the Phillies were 13-9, would you have taken it?
I think I would have. I would have taken 14-8 a lot more, but maybe that's just recency bias. But yeah, if you had told me the Phillies were 13-9 going into the Mets series and they'd be 2 behind the Mets, I would have been okay with it.
Yeah, I think 13-9 in a vacuum is fine. There's context though to how they're 13-9. I guess what's crazy, and we're going to get into it, but like they've actually won a decent amount of these games where the bullpens imploded, but they didn't today.
Yeah, no, without a doubt, they didn't. So looking at some of the additional stats over the last 10 games, they're 5-5. In March, they were 3-1. 3 of those games against the Nationals. And then in April, they're 9-8 now. And within the division, we're 5-4. So, look, it's turning out to be interesting. I think there is a lot of positive and a lot of not so positive, not so areas of opportunity. And we'll do a deep dive into it. Let's begin. Let's talk about the offense. So the offense is producing 4.69 runs a game, which is kind of a great number. I was running a stat today after the game. I mean, looking at this week, we produced 6.2 runs per game. I mean, significantly better than last week where we only produced 2.5. So the offense truly woke up this week versus where we were a week ago. I mean, we're 7th in baseball. I mean, your thoughts in general about how you see the offense and the evolution of the offense that we had this week.
You want to go first, Tim?
No, go ahead, Jeff.
I mean, look, we complained earlier in the year about they weren't able to score in the first inning, and I think they went from what was it? You might know this better than I do, but they were 19th in first inning runs, and now they're like third after their 3-run first inning today. So they're scoring early, which I like, and they're hitting off starting pitching. I'll just say this: I really do like the top of the order, the way it's presented itself, and I can't believe I didn't think of this till after we talked to Rob Thompson pregame today. But they faced David Peterson on Wednesday. And I know I'm looking ahead here, but I wonder if Bryson Stott's going to be that leadoff hitter on Wednesday when they face a lefty, because I really do like the Stott, Turner, Harper, Schwarber combination. Now, they didn't look too great at the end of the day today, but they scored 7 runs Friday. I think it was 10 on Saturday, and they scored, in my opinion, enough to win on Sunday before the bullpen imploded. But the top of the lineup has been consistently productive. And Bryson Stott, I mean, when he leads off a game, he's in 8 at-bats, he has 4 hits, and he has a walk. So 5 of those 9 plate opportunities, or 5 of those 8 plate opportunities, he's getting on base. That's really good for this team. It's not the Kyle Schwarber type impact, but I kind of like that top 4 of the lineup right now.
Yeah, I think it's gone. I believe the best lineup is probably with Kyle Schwarber leading off, but the way that Bryson Stott has hit this week, it's worked out really well. I would also say he didn't have a great game today, he didn't have a great game Monday, but in between, Johan Rojas had a very nice week. Alec Boehm has come around, at least relative to what he had done the first couple weeks of the season. So you're getting some good contributions throughout the lineup. Trey Turner had a great day yesterday.
Harper had a monster week.
Right, yeah. I mean, Harper's a story, and obviously Harper and Schwarber are going to carry you a lot of this season, but Castellanos has had a really nice start. You've won some games where you're not hitting 2 and 3 home runs per game, which I think is a positive sign for the Phillies. So overall, offensively, I think it was a pretty good week.
Yeah, no, I agree. Look, OPSs, I mean, per the week, I have them here. Harper was 1.229. Nick Castellanos was 914. Bryson Stott was number 3, 894, followed by Johan Rojas, which was 4th at 874. Trey Turner at 845. He also had a good week. He went 4 for 5 yesterday. We've seen some improvement there. And Schwarber was 843. So, I mean, even Alec Boehm, what does he have? Like, he's gotten a hit in 8 of the last 9 games. So we're beginning to see him kind of getting some momentum. So that's great news for this lineup, that we're beginning kind of to wake up.
Yeah, 7-game hit streak, Oscar. I think after he had his hit early in the game, he was hitting 320 for the week. I think that dropped to like 280 or 290 or something like that after the game. But yeah, it's nice to see Alec Boehm get going. As you guys mentioned, Johan Rojas. Yeah, there were 2 games he wasn't exactly great. Today was one of them. But he is hitting. I hope they can get Max Kepler going at some point, because everybody's just on Dave Dombrowski right now for all his offseason moves, and they're failing to include Jesus Luzardo in that. But yeah, Max Kepler's been underwhelming for the first couple of weeks.
He's had some moments where it's felt like he's about to break out. He had a good day yesterday. It was a bad play in right field, but he hit the ball really hard. So, yeah, I'm interested. Like, they gave him an off day when they faced Robbie Ray Wednesday. After Monday and Tuesday, he had looked pretty good. And then he didn't come back kind of with that same force he seemed to be hitting the ball with. I don't think it's been a disaster with Max Kepler so far. I think there's been enough moments, if you want to be positive, to be positive. But if you were a cynic of the move, then I think he hasn't blown you away either. And it's really left-handed. Like, a lot of times when the Phillies play a left-handed pitcher, at least as the roster is right now, they're going to be in an awkward situation if Kepler's not hitting against lefties when Marsh is in there, which he isn't right now. But you have a ton of lefties in the lineup.
So, I mean, here is the question, right? We were beginning to answer this. Does the Leon lineup has Stott leading off and Schwarber hitting behind Harper? And what do you do, Tim, from your perspective versus lefties?
I think versus lefties right now, you ride with Bryson Stott because he's played well. Now, if it ultimately proves that doesn't work, and that may be the case, then you go back to either Schwarber or Turner leading off against lefties. But while things are working, my inclination is not to mess with it.
Okay.
Would you flip Turner and Stott just for the sake of flipping them?
I don't think so. because then you're going to have 3 lefties
it
in a row.
complicates the whole
So,
thing if you do
yeah.
I feel like if Stott isn't leading off, then I don't know that he makes sense hitting second necessarily.
Yeah, last week, I mean, we were talking about the whole issue with lineup, kind of a structure with because Alec Baum is not hitting. When Baum is not hitting, you can normally hit him up, and then because he makes contact, I mean, you avoid kind of the strikeouts, and you can hit him fourth. He led the team last year, I think, in double plays. Excuse me. But so it's a unique dynamic to have him there, but I don't believe he's there yet. He continues to. I mean, that triple he got. He almost hit a home run there to center field against the Giants. I mean, he proved a lot. I mean, today he hit between the gaps. I mean, you're beginning to see some improvement from Alec Baum, which is great to see.
You know, Oscar, you mentioned last year he led the team in ground the double plays. He actually is tied for the league lead and probably should have retaken the league lead today, but the Marlins are just not a good defensive team.
It was one of the worst defensive series. I don't remember a series with so many wild pitches / pass balls, and the Phillies contributed today with some poor defense, but the Marlins, all 3 games were rough defensively.
That's why I thought the Phillies were going to get back into this game, and they ultimately did. They tied it because I'm like, well, the Marlins are just handing it to them, and I thought the Phillies should have taken more advantage than the run that they got.
Now, here's a thought that, in my opinion, is interesting. In the first couple of weeks, this team could not do anything against starters. This week, we changed the picture. I mean, we started hitting up front. I mean, on Thursday, we got 5 runs in the first inning. On Friday, we had 6 runs between the first and the second inning. On Saturday, 7 runs between the third and the fourth. And then today, we got 3 runs in the first inning. I mean, who can explain this?
Well, it's weird because they faced 3 former Cy Young winners this week, but none of them are. I mean, Verlander actually pitched pretty well today, but he's 42.
Yeah.
Robbie Ray was a fluke Cy Young guy, and Sandy Alcantara is clearly not at his best right now. So they chased those. I mean, I think some of it early in the season, they weren't going to go the whole season and only score runs against the bullpen. So they were due to level out, and I think you're kind of seeing the opposite end of that right now. But it is like the best case scenario of what people thought when you moved Kyle Schwarber to DH or to cleanup, is that more guys would be on in front of him. And Bryson Stott, when he's leading off, seems to really take that hit singles, work the count mindset, and it's worked so far. And it's kind of given them a spark. Trey Turner had a very good game Saturday. So when you have those top 2 guys getting on, and then the other thing I've noticed, the Phillies have been pretty aggressive on the bases this year, particularly taking third base. I've noticed Trey Turner do it. Johan Rojas down in the lineup has stolen some bases. Bryson Stott has stolen some bases. So they're not only getting on, but they're coming up then with guys in scoring position.
Yeah, if you look between the lines, you're right, Tim. This is a completely different team. Like they're only 19 for 20th in baseball in home runs. They're manufacturing a lot of runs, like you said. They're stealing second and third base a lot. I'd like to see where they are in terms of leading the league in steals or amongst the league leaders. They have to be up there. I mean, Trey Turner's done that quite a bit. Even Kyle Schwarber's been aggressive on the base pass. It's weird because we always hear same old team, but is it the same team? It just feels like it's a different philosophy. It's almost like in football when you run a completely different offense, but you have the same guys.
Well, I think what has to happen, this is still a team that is going to live and die a lot of times by hitting home runs. But the problem you've had in the playoffs the last few years when you haven't hit those home runs is you haven't been able to win enough games where you take the extra base or whatever, something like that. You manufacture a run in an inning. The Phillies need to be able to win some playoff games where they don't hit 3 home runs. Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber aren't going to homer every single night, and it can't be a loss in those type of games. And it can't be you have to win by hitting doubles and triples either. Like sometimes you need to be able to manufacture big innings by hitting singles, doubles, stealing bases. And I think so far the Phillies have done that the last few weeks. And I think it comes down to your lineup gets so much longer when Bryson Stott is hitting like this as opposed to what he was last year.
That was huge. That was huge each week. And you could see the difference even in the first inning today. And I know we're kind of, I mean, let's be clear between all of us. I mean, the Marlins are like a AAA team. I mean, that's what they're, I mean, when you see a lot of those players, I mean, with all due respect, I mean, they have a AAA team right now. playing. Gillespie is nothing special. I mean, he's a good guy and whatever you want, but he's nothing special. And take a look at some of the numbers for us. I mean, so we're seventh in run scores per game, but when you get into look at the home runs, we're 21 right now. When you look at runners left in a scoring position, we're leaving 4.14 runners, which is 27th in MLB. I mean, those are the type of things that we need to significantly improve to be able to be effective. There's a big number between last week. Last week, we hit 140 with runners in a scoring position. This week, we hit 279. So it's a significant improvement versus what we were last week, but we left a lot of men on base. I mean, the last two games, for example, we left 11 men yesterday, 10 today. Against San Francisco in the last game or the third game of the San Francisco series, we left 10. So, I mean, we're still leaving too many men on base, and that's something that we significantly need to improve on.
Well, the guy I think that has done such a good job with runners in scoring position is Johan Rojas. He seems to have figured out this. When guys are his best ability offensively is when guys are on base. He seems to be able to punch the ball between the first and second baseman into right field. And either a guy scores or it gets a guy to third base. That is what they need out of Johan Rojas. And I think, Alec Boehm obviously needs to produce more runs than he has early on this season. And I think in general, you're one big bat short. But if you ask me kind of who's the difference between last week and this week, Stott had a great week. Trey Turner had some nice moments, but it's Johan Rojas being able to come up. And he's not going to hit home runs. He's not going to hit a lot of extra base hits. But when he is able to make some impact offensively, that's huge.
Well, that's what one of the debates was this week. Like, okay, the Phillies don't have a center fielder. I'm like, fine, you can admit that, but which one should be playing? And I was in the Johan Rojas camp. I'm always in that camp. But, obviously with Marsh's injury, that changed things. But I'm thinking to myself, okay, this guy's playing better than Brandon Marsh right now, just on paper, not even going with ability. And I still think Brandon Marsh has great value on this team as a platoon player. But right now, I think you just have to ride Johan Rojas and let Brandon Marsh, as Rob said today, give him those at-bats when in Lehigh or wherever they send him on rehab. But it doesn't look like Marsh is going to be out that long.
Well, I got the vibe from listening to Rob Thompson, though, that he is going to do a rehab stint. And we'll see. Like, I feel like they would probably like him to not only do a rehab stint, but to look good in the rehab stint before he comes back up. You can rehab for up to 20 days. In the meantime, it's possible Weston Wilson is back. It's possible he's not, but it's possible he's back with the Phillies as an option in the outfield too. And I agree with you that Brandon Marsh's best value is as a platoon outfielder. The problem is you can't platoon. His best value is as a platoon corner outfielder. You're not platooning anyone with Castellanos because he's playing well enough to play every day, and you're not platooning him with Kepler because it's two left-handed hitters. So I think you kind of, in how you operated this offseason, negated his best value, and it's great he can play center field. The bottom line, he has a 387 OPS right now, as you see on the screen. He needs to be a lot better offensively when he comes back, but I think he's kind of a clunky fit for this team right now.
I think it's the right thing to do, to send him to the minors. I mean, rehab completely your knee, and then go back, get a number of at-bats, relax, and just come back and begin to hit the way he was hitting at least against right-handed pitching, which he has done tremendous. I mean, last year, if I recall correctly, he was the guy that hit the ball the hardest after Schwarber. I mean, that's how good he was last year hitting his right-handed pitching. But I mean, this year he's been completely off and overwhelming. I mean, to me, Rojas sometimes is frustrating the way he strikes out more than I want to. I mean, like today, he struck out a couple of times without swinging. I mean, it's just frustrating. But at the same time, today he hit a hit toward right field to bring in a run that looked really, really nice piece of hitting. The pitch was outside, and he hit it that way, and he did good. And let's be clear. I mean, when he's on and focused, there are very few center fielders that can play center field like he did. He made a play yesterday where he ran 80%. I mean, even today, the sacrifice, or not a sacrifice, there was a short fly to center field. He ran toward left field. I mean, he was in left field when he grabbed that ball and he threw it to home plate on a strike. But again, in the San Francisco series, he made a dumb play and then he threw it away. And I mean, so if he's focused, he has the capabilities. We just need to give him a chance.
Well, and I would say I agree with you. I was going to bring up the play where he threw it into the camera well against San Francisco. He can't do that. But then there was a play, I think it was yesterday. He got on and he was definitely leaning and almost fell. And luckily for the Phillies, it didn't impact them. He got back. But he had some issues last year with, I don't want to say attention span on the bases, but not like focusing to the level he should on the bases, and sometimes taking a step too far and getting picked off or whatever the case is. So there's still a learning curve with him. But you see when he gets on base, he's lightning fast. He almost caught Alec Boehm Saturday running the bases.
That's amazing.
Like as much as there definitely have been some frustrating plays in the field, but he gets balls that just other guys flat out don't come close to. And Brandon Marsh, I think, is a proficient center fielder, but there's balls that Johan Rojas is getting to that nobody else is.
Beautiful. So let me just run something right quick here on the OPS for the Phillies this week. Over the last 7 games, the Phillies are 4th in OPS at 813. So without a doubt, a significant improvement versus what we saw on the road trip. Now we'll talk about the Mets in a minute, but things will turn interesting. Let's shift gears from hitting to pitching. The starting rotation have been carrying this team. I think this is the status of last night. I think we are right now, our pitching right now. I actually have it here. Thank you, Alex, for putting that. Our great producer here, Alex Santiago, just put it up. We're at 4.29 ERA overall, but our starting pitching is at 3.46. So they've been carrying, the way for this team. If we're not hitting or our relief pitchings are not delivering, then comes the starting pitching, particularly Luzardo, Christopher Sanchez, Taiwan until a couple of starts ago, and then Christopher Sanchez, and of course Luzardo. Luzardo has been the brightest spot in the Phillies today. He probably didn't have his best stuff, but he got to the 7th inning with like 76 pitches, which was amazing. So
he was at 68, I think, on the 7th.
Yeah, he was. He was, in terms of saving pitches, he was amazing. I don't think he was as sharp with his delivery, particularly striking out people. He ended up striking out 7 overall, but his line was unbelievable. Seven innings, 8 hits, two runs, 8 base on balls, or 1 run, 2 base on balls, and 0 base on balls and 7 strikeouts. So he had another amazing outing. He's been such a bright spot, Tim.
Yeah, he's been tremendous. Probably not only their best starting pitcher, but he actually passed Paul Skeens, Logan Webb, and Chris Bassett, who are all really good pitchers. At least 2 of them are like Cy Young level pitchers. He passed them. He now leads all starting pitchers in WAR in Fangraph's calculation of it. So he's been tremendous. And it's not to say anything. Starlin Caba might have a tremendous MLB career, but I couldn't help but think, sitting there today, if the Marlins had held on to Jesus Luzardo, they traded him when his value was at his lowest. Sandy Alcantara struggling. The pitching market does not look good this summer. If they had held on to Jesus Luzardo, he pitched like this for them, he would have cost way more to get than what the Phillies paid for him in the offseason. So I think it's a great trade by Dave Dombrowski, and there are serious questions about most of the other moves made this offseason, but the Luzardo deal looks like a great one, and it's one of the reasons I was kind of screaming from the rooftops this offseason when people said they didn't do anything. It just wasn't true.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was the same way, and I said, well, you guys must have been watching the Eagles play the Commanders, because that was the day Luzardo they made the trade for Luzardo. Oscar and I were like going all nuclear in the press box because we're getting this deal going on during a football game. And Jesus Luzardo has been even better than what I thought he was going to be, and I knew he was a good pitcher before that. And look, this starting rotation is still really good, and you haven't gotten Aaron Nola going yet. Ranger Suarez isn't even back.
Oh, you did in the last start, right? We did get him going in the last start. That was amazing.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not talking about Nola. Sorry, I thought you were talking about Wheeler.
No, Aaron Nola. We still gotta get him going. But
was I at a different last start?
Yeah.
To me, Zach Wheeler's been fine. He always to me. It's outside of those two starts, but I digress. But yeah, I mean, look, Lazar has been tremendous. Wheeler is Wheeler. This is a really good rotation. They're going to be in every single game pretty much with these five guys. And then when you get Suarez back and eventually Andrew Painter, who, in my opinion, pitched really well Friday night when I rewatched the game, his rehab start. But yeah, I mean, if they win the World Series this year, really good chance it's their starting rotation.
So let's talk about Nola for a second. I mean, what have we seen? Is the issue weather related? I mean, I know his velocity has been slightly lower than it's been in the past. I mean, 0.4, 665, that's not Aaron Nola, and he knows it. I mean, he knows it more than anyone.
It's not. The first couple games, he got in trouble with home runs, which the last few years he's had issues with home runs, but he was giving up solo shots. The first two games, he was giving up 2 and 3 run home runs. So I think that to a degree, he can get back on track from. The troubling thing the last 2 games has been walking guys. He's walked 4 guys in back-to-back starts. That's the first time he's ever done that in his career. This is his 11th season. This is a guy that never misses starts. And including in back-to-back games, walking a run in. I think maybe to avoid giving up home runs, he's tried to be a little too perfect and instead has not been in the strike zone as much. So he needs to find that balance. The velocity thing does not concern me because he's never been a guy that throws high 90s. He's always more reliant on movement and just being able to pitch. He is going to give up home runs. He lives in the strike zone. And I think, if anything, the last 2 starts have shown you can live with some of the home runs. You can't live with the walks because what Aaron Nola has made his major league career on is throwing strikes and letting his pitches eat in the zone.
Last year, Nola's knuckle curve had a 226, 221 batting average. This year, 308. There's something going on with his knuckle curve that is forcing him to go more to his cutter, more to his changeup. I mean, more. You're starting to see that he's trying to kind of evolve the pitches and try to mix more pitches than he had before. And it might be an issue of weather related. I mean, the weather has been cold. I mean, he had to pitch under a lot of wind, and it was not a nice conditions when he pitched in last outing here in San Francisco.
Teams have been ambushing him as well. Like a lot of this damage has come early on in the counts, I believe. So there's a balance to be found between you want him to be in the strike zone, but you don't want to get too predictable.
Okay. That's fair. Let's go to the other. And by the way, just we welcome your comments. Send us, more than happy to send us your comments, and we'll answer it across the show as we go kind of into the different areas. Taijuan Walker. So Taijuan, Tim, give us an update on Taijuan. Where is he? I mean, did he get hurt? He didn't get hurt. And then what do we do with Taijuan once Ranger comes back?
He had some shoulder stiffness yesterday. It didn't sound like it's going to be a big thing. Like he has an extra day. There's going to be some treatment. This was the first time he pitched on 5 days, or on the 5th day. So I think he'll be fine. He was pitching pretty well in that game. Like in theory yesterday, he probably could have gone 7 innings. Just didn't shake out that way. And then that led to the bullpen having to get involved in the game. But I think he makes another start or 2, and then you see where you're at. When Ranger Suarez comes back, he's going to be in the starting rotation. They're not building him up to 90 pitches to then put him in the bullpen. I think it's entirely possible in the second half of the season, probably more like in September than in July. But at some point, you utilize Ranger Suarez out of the bullpen. But when he comes back, it's in the starting rotation. So if no one gets hurt in the meantime, then I think that means Taijuan Walker becomes someone that pitches out of the bullpen. And I don't know exactly what his value is going to be out of the bullpen, but I think that's what happens. But in the meantime, he's held it down with Ranger Suarez out, and that's been huge.
Can you talk a little bit about what Topper told us a couple of days ago about Ranger? And so he's going to pitch on Tuesday, his next rehab in Lehigh, which is great. I mean, he's been pitching in Class A. So I think the last time he went 4 innings, the last outing.
Yeah.
Give us an update in terms of pitches and when should we expect him back?
I believe it was 90 pitches is what they want to build up to. So it sounds like he's going to make 2 more appearances, likely at Lehigh Valley. I haven't looked at the schedule. The first one's at Lehigh Valley.
If based on the schedule, he'll probably pitch Tuesday and Sunday in Lehigh. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. So he'll make those 2 starts, and then you're talking about the first week of May making a decision. Assuming all goes well, I would think at that point he's back with the Phillies. But when he's back with the Phillies, he's not going to be back throwing 110 pitches. I do think the Phillies had some regrets with how much of a leash they gave him early on last season, and maybe thought that contributed to him having an injury and just in general not being himself in the second half. So I think when he comes back, don't be shocked if he's pitching 4 innings and then Taijuan Walker's piggybacking or whatever the case is. I think the Phillies are going to be pretty cautious with the workload for Ranger Suarez.
So Tim, you probably have noticed this too. Don't you think they've been more cautious across the board with everybody on their pitching staff this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think in a normal situation, you could have said Luzardo goes back out for the 8th. I didn't think for a second he was going back out for the 8th today because the injury history and just that they're trying to be smart with it. And I know it makes people upset, but it's April, A, and B, you look around at some of these teams, the Orioles can't find anyone to pitch for them. The Phillies, meanwhile,
24 runs, right?
the Phillies, meanwhile, you don't want to jinx it, but they have done remarkably in the last 5 years as the rest of the sport has had all these major elbow surgeries. I think the Painter, but he was in the minors. Jojo Romero, I believe, is the only like Tommy John guy, and Luis Ortiz. Like their big guys have stayed healthy and avoided major injuries, and that's partially due to the fact that they have not pushed them in April.
Yeah, I know someone asked me today, well, why did they pull this Luzardo? And people were saying because, they like to blame Rob Thompson for everything. And I'm just like, okay, so do you want the guy hurt? Like, do you know who this guy is? Do you know his injury history? And they don't seem to care. Again, I got to go back to this. It's that Eagles mentality. Why do we have to win every single game?
Yeah, no, that is what it is. It's the rings mentality, the Eagles mentality, that every game you have to have a hot take after. It isn't it doesn't create fun sports talk, in my opinion, but it's the world we live in right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we're hearing AJ Brown's going to the Patriots, which isn't even true.
Okay, let's go to the area that everybody wants to talk about.
Not AJ Brown?
No, come on. Everybody wants to talk about AJ Brown.
AJ Brown to the Patriots for the number 3 pick. How about that?
Well, they don't have the 3 picks, so you're already wrong.
Oh, the fourth.
Well, he's as right as those reports.
My bad. 4th pick. How about that? So let's talk about the bullpen. Where do we see the bullpen in terms of both quality and depth? I mean, this was as of yesterday. After today, if we put that chart here that I have,
it's 5.8 now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's. I'll put it here. It's going to overshadow.
It's not good. It's not good. I mean, Jordan Romano was their big signing this offseason, and I'll give him credit. He's answered all the tough questions. He's a really positive guy, like a good, I'm sure teammates like him, everything. He's worked hard. The results haven't been good. It's a results business, and so far taking the gamble on him, replacing both Hoffman and Estevez does not look good. And I was talking with Oscar about this earlier. I think their biggest issue right now, obviously Romano, they need him to be better, obviously. But their biggest issue right now is that they don't have someone who can come in when they're down 1 or 2 runs, and you don't want to punt on the game, but you also don't want to bring in Alvarado or Strom or Kerkering. You need someone to come in, hold serve, and keep your team in the game. They don't have that right now. Tanner Banks has not pitched well. I'm confused on what Joe Ross's exact role is. Jose Ruiz has struggled early. So that's the biggest problem, depth, and that it does feel like you're running some of these guys into the ground in April.
I'm very worried about Alvarado. I mean, Alvarado is probably right now the most valuable piece you have, and I'm very concerned about that.
Yeah, Tim. Adding on to your point, Mike McGarry and I were talking before we left, and Alvarado and Strom are on pace to pitch 81 games this year. That's just not sustainable. And Kerkering doesn't pitch back-to-back days. He only did it 5 times last year. He's probably going to have to pitch tomorrow, I would assume. And I don't know how they're going to treat Kerkering right now, after his outing.
He's got to go back-to-back tomorrow because I'd be floored if Alvarado pitches tomorrow. I know he didn't pitch a lot.
No, he won't pitch tomorrow, even though he only pitched 8 pitches or something today.
Yeah, so. I know. And yesterday was a short outing, but it's still, you're getting him up in the bullpen. Like, this is a guy 2 years ago when he was on fire, was incredible, but he had 2 stints on the IL with elbow problems. Strom had a shoulder injury in spring training. Like, you just need to be really cautious. But you don't have anyone right now. Joe Ross has been all over the place. One day he comes in and pitches 2 shutout innings. But made some of the worst pitches imaginable in the Atlanta series.
I mean, Osuna. I mean, I still remember
Austin
that home run.
Riley, Ozuna, they were just hitting it off a tee. So I'm kind of confused exactly what his role is. Carlos Hernandez has nasty stuff, but can't find the strike zone. And I feel like it's getting late early for him. It might be time to maybe Max Lazar or somebody comes up and you cycle somebody in. But the way they've gone thus far is not sustainable. And they've talked, like, people say you want to get Romano into a lower leverage situation next. Guess what? If they're in a high leverage situation tomorrow night, Jordan Romano's coming into the game because you're so thin in the bullpen right now.
And probably is the best option you have. And let's talk. So we lost. Who did we lose? Hoffman, and we lost Steves, right?
And Estevez. Yeah, they were the two
so,
big ones.
So we lost a closer. And then Alvarado was not pitching the way he's pitching right now because he was very inconsistent. He got back in shape, so he had a tremendous offseason. So Alvarado is a much better version of who he was last year. My biggest concern is the depth of who. I mean, to me, conceptually, what they thought about was to get Kirkering to be the Hoffman. I mean, and I wouldn't say Alvarado be Steves, but close to it to a certain extent. But the problem comes after that. Where is the Alvarados and where are the Kirkerings of last year? That doesn't exist.
They don't
have them.
They thought Romano was going to be Jeff Hoffman, and maybe he will be. It's early in the season. He was hurt last year. It's possible. It's a nightmare April, and then he gets back on track. This was somebody that was a really good reliever. To this point, though, it hasn't been good. I mean, you see the numbers up there on the screen right now. Rob Thompson loves Jose Ruiz. Jose Ruiz, it's been tough so far. And Tanner Banks is kind of like a long man, can maybe take down some leverage innings, but more is like a guy you're bringing in the 6th or when you're down, whatever the case is. So, and Hernandez, he's got that one outing in Atlanta was amazing, but it doesn't seem like they have a lot of trust in him right now, and it's because he can't find the strike zone. So I do wonder if he's on borrowed time.
Yeah. You know what bothered me about this whole bullpen fiasco, and of course, Tim, you know this, Oscar knows this. They weren't giving a multi-year deal to Jeff Hoffman. They weren't giving a multi-year deal to Carlos Estevez. They just weren't doing it. It's unless they offered Jeff Hoffman 1 year, like $20 million. I don't think he was coming back here. It's just
No.
It was just one of those things. It's Dave Dombrowski just doesn't do that. And some people will mention Matt Strahm, and I'm like, well, okay, well, Strahm was Tim, you know, his initial deal was what, 1 year, or was it 2?
No, it was 2 years, but it was like 15 million, something in that. Like, he'll give multi-year deals, and I asked him about this, and he essentially said, like, if Mariano Rivera's out there, the answer every GM gives, Mariano Rivera is not out there. If that's like the standard you're looking for, you're never going to sign a reliever. But I don't blame them for not wanting to go more than 1 year with Carlos Estevez, because Carlos Estevez frankly wasn't that good.
No, he was terrible last year.
But Jeff Hoffman, and I get like multiple teams reneged on deals with him, pulled out on deals with him. I don't know that the Phillies were signing him before that. Like, I just think, sure, if they had been able to get him on a 2-year deal, I think they would have jumped on it. I don't think that was ever going to happen, and I don't think they were going 3 years. That may prove to be the right decision, and I don't begrudge taking a risk on Romano. I think that's a good guy to have taken a risk on, given his past track record, but that couldn't be your biggest guy. You needed to, like, sign Blake Trinan and Romano, or a different guy that you were a little bit more sure what you were getting, and Romano. To make him that number one option, I don't think was smart, and so far it hasn't played out well.
Yeah, and that was the thing too. Like, I like when they were making their decision with Hoffman, just talking to people, I felt like that decision was made very quickly after the postseason. Like, they knew he wasn't coming back because they just weren't going to offer what he was going to make.
Yeah, no, I agree. Look who we have here, the one and only Tyler. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you today?
How's everything?
It's good. We didn't win, but we still have a good record, and I'm remaining optimistic. And hopefully tomorrow's the day that we get just a slight change in the bullpen, get a fresh arm, maybe a long reliever, something to change it up a little bit.
Well, so you bring to us some interesting slides here, some interesting stats. So, kind of, we're creating a couple of series. Tyler is going to bring us the stat of the week, brought to you by Phil Stelgate, and then we're going to have Steve Porter. He's going to be sending every week the key stats around the minor league player of the week, and I know Jeff is very well connected with the minor league system of the Phillies, and he can provide his perspective as we go into it. So let's talk about the key stats of the week.
Yeah, the first one I just found interesting. And again, these stats are from yesterday, so it doesn't include anything from today's game. But Alec Boehm, only one walk the whole season.
That's weird.
I think that's just incredible. He has the longest streak, and I don't remember if he walked today, but he had the longest streak, at least coming into today, of consecutive at-bats not having a walk. I believe it was at 77 at-bats. And our guy Cody Clemens also has one with 5 at-bats. And then coming into today, Schwarber and Harper had 18 each, which was second in Major League Baseball behind Matt Chapman. So, we are walking as a team. We're getting on base. I'm encouraged by that. Obviously we faced some lesser competition this week that we still couldn't really handle anyway in the Marlins, but at least our guys are getting on base. It'll be interesting to see how all of that works with the Mets series. Their pitching has been significantly better than I think it should be, looking at the arms that we're facing. So it's positive that we're getting people on base. Boehm has a 7-game hitting streak now too, which is great. So it's good to get everyone back on track there. And then, Schwarber, he's doing so much better against left-hand pitching. And it's interesting because I believe up until 2023, he was not that great against these reinvents in this whole game. And now this year he's doing significantly better against it. Look at the OPS there, 1.628 against left-handed pitching. I was talking to Oscar yesterday. Schwarber, Harper, and Ohtani consistently over the last 3 years have faced the most left-hand pitching in baseball. And except for Harper this year, they've all had a lot of success against them recently.
I just thought that
and for Schwarber, it's
very
pretty funny how he's doing significantly better against left-handed pitching this year.
I just thought this stat with regard to Schwarber and how he's transformed himself into a monster against lefties has been incredible. I mean, he's hit more home runs against lefties than righties. I don't know, Tim, what are your thoughts on the Schwarber and maybe some of the other stats that are here?
Well, the one that interests me is Cody Clemens, just because I think
he's on the team.
Well, I was kind of floored that he wasn't the one that came out and pinch hit today. I get Cal Stevenson got on, but it was kind of should have been an error if we're being honest. And it was Cal Stevenson, I think, is a guy that's like a good 26-man type guy to have in your organization. If you're not putting Cody Clemens in that situation, I'm not entirely sure when you're putting him in. And I'm not somebody I'm pro Cody Clemens. I think he's a good bench player. I didn't think he really had a fit on this team. And so far, it's kind of like they kept him because they wanted to keep him in the organization, but he just doesn't fit on a team with so many left-handed hitters. And there's not a ton of situations where he's going to hit over Edmundo Sosa. So I feel bad for him in a sense. Like, would you rather be in this situation on a good team where you almost never play? Or would you rather be on the White Sox or a team like that, the Marlins, where you get to play, but the team is a disaster? I don't know.
It's a tough place. I mean, let's be clear. What happens when Weston Wilson is ready to come back? I mean, that's the other thing. And we know Weston Wilson is going to probably play more left field. The other thing, after Mundito has done so well since the beginning of the season, hasn't he been in at all? And I know it's because Stott has been playing really well and Boehm has been hitting and they want to keep them going. But it's rough not to see Mundito play at all this week.
Well, I guess what's the spot you would have him in? Stott is playing well.
Maybe left field. How about that?
Yeah. It was kind of an adventure, the game he played in left field.
I know.
I don't know if that's enough of a reason to bail on it. I thought Atlanta's a pretty tough stadium to make your outfield debut in. That's a big outfield there, and he did rob a home run, and Yohan Rojas was more to blame for that one play. But I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like you're going to see Schwarber in the outfield more than you're going to see Sosa. So Sosa will still play against lefties, although like I would question this week, like when you face Peterson, are you taking Stott out of the lineup? I'm not sure I am right now. It's unfortunate for Sosa, but that just might be what it is right now. They need Bohm to get going. They're not taking him out. Trey Turner, obviously, when Trey Turner's healthy, Trey Turner plays. So there's just not a spot for him right now, but there will be throughout the season, I'm sure.
Yeah, fair. I agree. Tyler, and your thoughts in general, how are you seeing things from a Phil's perspective before we go to the minor league players of the week?
Yeah, I still see a lot of like small flaws, but they show me every series that a lot of the things that they have issues in, well, outside of the bullpen recently, they can still do it. A lot of people were bringing on the runners in scoring position stats, and I was as well. But I mean, you can see against a team like Miami that they were doing a little bit better with that, and that shouldn't be an issue going further. I mean, if you look back at the past 4 seasons, the Phillies ranked 4th in runners in scoring position hits, and they were 5th in batting average. So that's something that it's just going to come back. The bullpen, though, keep coming back to that. You just wonder what the first domino is that's going to fall. They should be better. And a guy like Romano, I thought he was getting back on track until this last appearance that he had. So I don't know. It's just tough at the beginning of the year because there's just so many variables. They haven't been playing a lot. There's different types of teams that they're facing. And
I know they're
to...
probably going to the lab with Romano and checking everything. I got some indications that might be the case, that they're just checking on his delivery and see if he's hinting any of the pitches and things like that. So we'll see. I mean, it'll be very, very interesting.
And what Rob Thompson said this morning was pretty interesting on that, talking about potentially tipping. Obviously, he's not going to say, yeah, we found out when he was throwing his slider, he was tapping his glove or something like that. But he did kind of indicate, yeah, we think maybe we found something. But until he's actually out there, you don't know. Like, He has to go out the next game and prove that, yes, that was the issue. I mean, really, the fastball wasn't as much the problem. He's hanging the slider. The slider is not breaking, and he's having trouble with that. I think the last home run he gave up was wasn't the worst pitch in the world. It was just kind of when it rains, it pours on him. But yeah, I mean, he's got to get back on track.
And the biggest issue is, and Matt Gell pointed this out today, 2-pitch pitcher. And, so he doesn't actually have something. He has to rely on that fastball and that slider. And I don't remember recalling him throwing the third pitch. Do you?
No, I mean, he talked about that early in the season. If the slider's not working, it makes him really predictable. So he needs that slider to work. He was throwing 98, 99 yesterday. That's great.
Yeah.
Major league players are still going to catch up to that if they know that's what's coming.
So let's put the minor league player of the week. I mean, this is brought to you by Steve Porter. Steve is a guy that has studied and established relationships with many of the players in the minor league systems. He's down near the Clearwater area. And
it's good to be able to see his content.
Yeah, he's really, really good. I mean, and what he does. I mean, I'm truly appreciate him for kind of helping us out and putting his perspective. As a person that I respect tremendously in the work that he does. He's been with us. Last year he was with us a couple of times, and he did an incredible job kind of describing his perspective of our minor league system. But he selected 2 players to be the minor leagues players of the week. One was Dylan Campbell. Dylan Campbell came as part of the money that we gave in the international bonus to the Dodgers for Sasaki. He went to the University of Texas, did an amazing job there, and look what the guy started. I think Steve mentioned to me like 0 for 22 or 1 for 22. And
he was horrible going into this week.
Yeah, so he was amazing. I mean, 9 for 20, 3 home runs. So you can see what this guy is capable of doing. He's in high A in Jersey Shore, so it's someone that we need to keep our eyes on. I mean, tremendous talent. And then the other guy, the pitcher of the week, is our friend Mick Abel. So Mick Abel is back on the radar. He's been pitching better over the last few starts. 5 innings. I mean, 5.1 innings, 8 Ks. I think his issue has been his command. That's one of the areas that we need to closely look at. 93 pitches, 60 strikes. I mean, so far so good. I mean, so hopefully he continues going. I mean, this guy was one of the most heritable. I mean, heritable. This is the guys that you were hearing. He was up and coming together with Andrew Painter, and suddenly he has not pitched well last year and a half. And hopefully he can turn it around, and we can have another starter, a number 2 starter after Andrew Painter in a few years to come. So I don't know. I mean, Tim, Tyler, Jeff, any thoughts? I mean, in general, how you see this? I mean, and what are some of your thoughts on Dylan Campbell and Mick Abel?
Yeah, it's been like this seems like it was a good start for Mick Abel. Griff McGarry's had a little bit of a resurgence, although he's pitching in Double-A. But I think both those guys have a ways to go before they really are seen as prospects anymore. Like they're kind of fell out of favor scouting-wise. Jeff probably can speak to that better. But I don't think they're seen as like major prospects anymore coming into the season, and obviously they once were.
Yeah, one of the guys I wanted to pay attention to, and Steve Potter actually probably sees this guy every day. Arun Escobar, Tim, you and I call him a bit in spring training. He's not even 19 years old yet, and the guy's just mashing Florida State League pitching right now. I'm starting to think after watching. I was watching Painter's rehab start Friday, and Escobar 2 hits that game. I'm like, I know this guy's only 18, but he's probably above low A. I wouldn't be shocked if he went to Jersey Shore by the end of May.
Yeah, I mean, he's the cousin of Acuna. So he comes from the Escobar.
That's right. He's part of the family.
He's part of the family. And it's Mattingly actually mentioned it to me, his name, when we were in the minor leagues. I mean, we were talking in the dugout, and he mentioned his name. You could see this guy's in the star game. I mean, he showed. I mean, he can bring it. So it's a guy that we need to keep an eye on. And actually, Steve Porter sent it to me kind of as a special mention of the week. He went 11 for 23, hitting 478 with 2 doubles, 2 homers, and 4 RBIs. This guy could be a very, very special player for us. So
yeah, Aiden Miller's turning it around too, by the way. I was talking to a couple scouts this week, and it's funny, and one actually told me this before Tuesday night. If Miller wasn't on the back of his jersey, if it was just 10, you would have thought that was like a quote-unquote 3A player. That's what they call the bad minor league players in Double-A. But since then, I mean, Aiden Miller's hit like 400. He's had a couple extra base hits. He had 2 hits today. So he got off to a slow start in Jersey Shore last year and picked it up. It looks like he's doing the same in Reading. And Aiden Miller's even admitted to me he's never seen this weather before, so this is all new for him.
Yeah, so we're going to be covering, I mean, with Steve Input, I mean, we're going to be covering the minor league players of the week and highlighting some of the guys that we need to keep our eyes on kind of throughout the year. Just kind of the last few things before we go talk about the Mets series and what's coming next. Let's talk a little bit about our defense. I mean, Tim, you had some observations regarding our team defense. I mean, this year, where are we on defense right now?
Well, it wasn't a good day defensively today, but and Trey Turner had like a bit of a regression the other day, and I think I know he's sick of me asking about his defense, but I thought for much of the first few weeks he looked significantly better at shortstop. Bryson Stott's a very good second baseman. Bryce Harper didn't have a great day at first base today, but he's a good first baseman. Alec Boehm has become a passable third baseman, sometimes even better than that. For as much as the struggles you've talked about with Kepler offensively, we haven't said a word about him in left field, which is a good sign. Castellanos isn't going to get to play as other guys maybe would, but he has a strong arm. He's worked hard in right field. And then Johan Rojas has had some questionable moments, but in general, we still know as an extremely high talent in center field. So if you compare like where the Phillies are now to where they were defensively 3-5 years ago, that's significantly better.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at some of the fielding stats for us, and we're 8th in double plays per game, 7th in errors. So it's probably a significant improvement versus where we were maybe a year ago. I mean, Turner has played better this week. He didn't play as well. I mean, he made a couple errors, I think, in one of the Giants games, but he worked very, very hard. And By the way, Steve just texted me that Aiden Miller is dealing with some back discomfort, so it's something to keep our eyes on as we look into this. But so it's very good. I mean, again, we're seeing some improvements on defense. I think Johan makes us better in the outfield. I mean, when he plays, he makes a huge difference out there, and hopefully we continue to move. So let's talk a little bit about the kind of the big question, and then we'll talk about the Mets series. When do we expect Andrew Painter? Because there was some information this week that Topper mentioned about Andrew Painter, and I'll let Tyler talk about it, or Tyler and Tim talk about it. How many innings do we expect them to pitch this year? I don't know. Maybe start with you, Tyler, and then we go to Tim.
Yeah. I guess the first question is whether that's the majors or a combination of the majors and the minors.
It is both. The
Got
number of innings that he mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, this, again, it's just my opinion on what I've read. You know, I'm obviously not talking to anybody who's involved with it, but I was thinking it was probably going to be around like 110, 120 innings maybe. I also just am predicting July 7th against San Francisco. I think that'll be the day for him. I know that they've brought up, you know, sometime in July, like early August, maybe. I don't know. I think he'll be up in early July.
That's interesting. Tim, your thoughts on what Tupper mentioned during one of his pressers?
Yeah, he said 120 to 130. I don't know exactly, I don't think he's actually going to get to that number, just because I don't think they're going to have him throwing 6 and 7 innings and outings this year. So I think what you're looking at more likely is, like Tyler said, around 4th of July, he comes up and they're going to be cautious with him. They should be cautious with him. He's going to be a weapon this year, but this is not the last year they're going to play baseball, and this is a long-term guy that you need to be a cog and you need to be healthy. So I think they're going to be really cautious with him, to the point where it's going to frustrate people that he comes out of the game after 4 innings when he could pitch 6 or 7. But you got to have the bigger picture in mind.
Yeah, and that's obviously going to be the whole thing this year. I asked Rob today just to get pretty much the yes answer from, is he going to pitch? I'm assuming Friday's the day. He's going to pitch once a week. So he's only going to pitch like 4 innings pretty much every start. Like, this isn't going to be a new thing. And then when it gets warmer up here, he'll probably go up to Jersey Shore, or he'll probably go up to Reading and Lehigh for a little bit. But yeah, it's, I just can't see him getting that number.
Yeah, you do the math. It's hard to get to 120, 130, but it's important to get to 100, I think, because next year you're going to be talking about another innings jump. Maybe next year you want him to throw 130. It's a lot more doable to throw 130 next year if you throw 115 this year, as opposed to if you throw 75 this year.
So let's talk the big question. So we got the Mets. We have a big series. We're going up to Citi Field. Aaron Nola, 0-4, 665 versus Tyler McGill, 2-2, 140. Then on Tuesday at 7, both Monday and Tuesday are at 7:10 p.m. Christopher Sanchez, 2-0, 296 versus Griffin Canning, which has been a surprise, 2-1, 343. And then Wednesday at 1:10 p.m., Zach Wheeler versus David Peterson, the lefty, 1-1, 327. And then Zach Wheeler right now is 2-1 and 373. One thing that has impressed me significantly about the Mets, or I would say more than surprised me completely, is their pitching staff. I mean, they have the best ERA in all of baseball. I
did not see that coming.
I mean, it's a complete shock to me that their ERA is so low. I mean, it's 2.35, guys. 2.35 right now. I mean, what's going on?
Well, Tyler McGill is somebody I've always liked. He's never stayed healthy. His brother's a really good reliever. He's shown flashes, and this may just prove to be another flash, but he's been good so far. Clay Holmes pitched well today. I like Peterson a lot. I don't think he's an ace, but he's someone that I feel like can pitch 160 innings for you for 6 or 7 years, and it'll be quiet, but he'll be good at it. Canning, the Braves got him for Jorge Soler and non-tendered him. So they basically dumped Jorge Soler's salary on the Angels, took back Canning, and then didn't even have him pitch. And he's pitched well. So, and they don't have Mania yet. Who knows when they're going to have Frankie Montas. But I think maybe their pitching isn't as bad as we expected, but I still have a lot of questions about their starting pitching overall.
I have an interesting Mets stat for you. So the Mets have the best ERA in games that they've lost at 2.95. The team that's in second is the Giants at 4.34. And the Phillies right now are at 5.75. So I don't know.
It's a problem. I mean, it is a problem. I mean, looking at their hitting from an OPS standpoint. Let's see. This was year to date. Let me change this here. I mean, the Yankees are number 1 in OPS for all of baseball.
The Yankees.
The Yankees.
Hey,
there we
come
go.
My
Can't wait for July.
friend Ricky Ricardo is going to laugh about
It's
about
not
that
baseball season until you say the Yankees.
The Yankees, yeah.
And-
Phillies are number 5 in total OPS at 736. And the New York Mets are number 19 at 699. So there was some conversation about Soto this week that he's basically said that he's not what is it that he's whomever he has he was in better company last year than this year.
Oh,
behind him.
P. Alonso loves having Juan Soto around.
Pete Alonso's having the season of his life, and I thought it was ridiculous how Pete Alonso got treated in free agency last
I
year.
agree.
I
I would have
same
loved to
here.
have that guy, by the way.
Well, and I'm not even saying for the Phillies in general, but I don't understand. He hit 34 home runs last year, and that was a down season. It was a down season, but why he couldn't get a 4 or 5 year deal in free a team like the Nationals or someone like that desperately needed help and an impact player, why they didn't do it. But he's going to make out well in free agency. He's been one of the best players in baseball this year. And Soto started to get going today. Mark Vientos is slowly starting to get going. Lindor is one of the best players in baseball. So the Mets are going to have a good lineup.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but Jose Siri is still banging lower than Brandon Marsh.
He is, but they can play defense.
Yeah, he's really good at that.
But he's
But, yeah,
out. He's out. He's in injured reserve right now.
But
Yeah,
but
he's
to
in
add
there.
to your point, Tim, they treated Pete Alonso like all last season, and especially going to free agency. Like, do you remember? I think it was Chris Carter, the guy who hit all the home runs, in,
Yeah.
like the Athletics, and then the Brewers. Then it's like he disappeared off the face of the earth after leading the league in home runs. I'm like, okay, Pete Alonso's a really good hitter. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I think teams in the league have devalued, not maybe to the same extent as running backs in the NFL, but teams have gotten way carried away in devaluing power hitters. I get that deals with Pujols and Ryan Howard and Prince Fielder didn't age well. We weren't talking about a 10-year deal for Pete Alonso. You're talking about a 4 or 5 year deal, 6 max. I don't get why he didn't see more interest this past offseason.
Yeah. And this guy's having a down year, hitting 34 home runs in center
Right.
field of all places.
And how much of a down year was it in the playoffs when he was hitting a big home run every single time they need him? And we've seen it with Kyle Schwarber here. I'm a big believer in WAR. I think it's a great stat, but it maybe isn't the greatest stat in evaluating run producers. And when you have one of those guys in your lineup, you realize how valuable it is.
Yeah, I mean, people judge Ryan Howard based on a low WAR all the time. I'm like, okay, well, I'll take the 47 home runs.
Well, and some of that just has to do with the last 5 or 6 years of Ryan Howard's career drug the number down. But yeah, I mean, offensively, and Ryan Howard also probably would have been a DH today. So there's a lot of different things that go into that.
Yeah, a couple of things quickly with the Mets. I mean, Francisco Lindor started very slow this season. He's been picking it up. I mean, he had a walk-off a few days ago. And Soto is hitting 256, which is not ideal for him. But he continues. He has 17 walks and 14 strikeouts. So he continues.
I'm not too worried about Juan Soto. I think
neither am I.
So, all right.
He's in that classic first year, new team. I know it's same city, but it's a new team. He'll be fine.
It's the same as Bryce Harper.
Yeah,
Bryce
let
Harper.
him not be fined for at least a week.
Yeah.
And looking at the Mets bullpen, I find it interesting. They have a lot of guys who have a lot of scoreless outings. So Reed Garrett, 10 games, 0 runs. Ryan Stanek, 9 games. He's given up 1 run in 1 game. Max Kranick, 8 games, given up 1 run in 1 game. AJ Minter, 10 games, given up 2 runs. It's just like everyone.
The bottom line is they're
good.
Boy,
David Stearns knows what he's doing over there.
Well, AJ Minter was somebody he struggled last year, but when he was coming in at his peak with the Braves, was about as nasty as a left-handed reliever as you'll find. So I thought that was a good signing for them. And their bullpen was kind of a question, and Edwin Diaz is you never quite know what you're getting year to year from Edwin Diaz, but when he's on, he's about as good as you'll ever find.
But he hasn't been on.
He hasn't
been
been
a
on
start.
Yeah, not this year.
But yeah, I mean, if he gets going, it could be a really good bullpen.
Look, let's talk a little bit about this series. So tomorrow is going to be rough because we're not going to have. I mean, it's probably Romano and what is it? Maybe Kirkering are going to be the ones that have to close the game for us. Hopefully, we hit.
Jose Ruiz. I mean, I think Rob Thompson trusts Jose Ruiz, and some of these games, it's. I would not bet money on the Phillies winning tomorrow. Put it that way.
He's the master, by the way. He's the master of the one out.
Yeah,
I mean, very good at that.
Yeah,
but it's going to have to be one of those games. If they win tomorrow, A, Aaron Nola gives you 7 innings, and B, somebody that you don't expect steps up. Whether it's Tanner Banks, I don't think it's going to be Carlos Hernandez getting the opportunity, but Tanner Banks, Jose Ruiz, one of those guys steps up, and you look up, and all of a sudden they're pitching to Juan Soto and Pete Alonso.
Yeah,
do we think that tomorrow is the day that they cut ties with Carlos Hernandez and just get like a long man in the bullpen?
I don't think so. I think at least is a little longer.
Yeah, it might be a little longer, but I don't think you're far off from it making. I will say for anyone that was saying over the weekend, DFA Jordan Romano, he's here. He's not going anywhere.
You
the
have to
problem
pay
is
him.
none of the guys are in the 40-man. There's a lot of guys, and I mean, actually, Steve sent me a list. Joel, Connell, Brett, the Goss, and Nicolas Padilla. Nicolas Padilla.
Yep.
There are names that are available, but none of them are in the 40-man roster.
Lazar would be the guy, I think.
Yeah. Lazar is the guy I'm hearing if there's anybody.
And I heard he wasn't. I mean, I looked at it. I haven't looked at it recently, but I looked at it maybe a week ago, and he wasn't doing that bad. He was like a 2.15 ERA or something like that.
He's pitching fine. He's pitching fine.
He had one really bad game. That was it.
Well, and I also. What is Chris Matt's status? They were starting him at one point?
Yeah, he's still starting. I believe he started 2 days ago.
I think they're doing it to just keep his arm long, I guess, as a long reliever.
Here's a thought. Here's a thought. Could they be starting him because they want him to face kind of the best hitters of the opposite team? So, I mean, because he's not in the 40-man roster, and he has MLB experience, and he did an okay job with the San Diego Padres. I mean, probably better than some of the things we got going right now.
And if he comes up, he's coming up to be a reliever. They're not bringing him up to be a starter. So maybe they want him stretched out just because they need someone that can go multiple innings and eat up some of these games where you're losing and it's probably not going to happen for you that day, but you still need to finish the game out, I guess. But
if you bring a guy like him,
bring him up. I would bring him up.
If you bring a guy like him up, though, who goes off the 40? That's all.
Carlos Hernandez.
Yeah, that's why. Maybe that's where Tyler's getting that.
Yeah. So I mean, I like Carlos Hernandez. I think he has a lot of potential, but I don't think that we can really afford to keep him around much longer, especially when Rangers probably coming back in a few weeks. You know, maybe you can see if there's someone in the meantime, just see if, they're good. But the problem is you bring up Chris Matt, he's also out of options.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys are. Chris Matt actually started.
We need to approach this that we want to win the World Series this year. I mean, that's the bottom line.
Yeah,
I mean,
can't worry about this stuff. I mean, we do, but they can't.
I mean, I like
Chris
the
Matt
99-mile-an-hour fastball,
well.
and I like his cutter and his curveball. But the question is, he allows too many base on balls. I mean, look at who was Walker hit a home run against him in St. Louis. That ball hasn't fallen yet. I mean,
he went 10 days in between his first 2 appearances.
That's true.
And if the rest of the bullpen was doing fine, then whatever, having him on the roster. But
yeah. You do need guys with flexibility. That's why Lazar makes sense. And Banks could be optioned, although that's a lefty. But you have so many guys that are out of options right now. You need to be able to change out some of the parts sometimes. That's the reality of a bullpen in today's game.
And the question is, we need to do it the entire season. I mean, we have a whole season to play. So, I mean, if you start cutting ties with some of these guys right now, I mean, you're not going to have these additional arms. If anybody gets hurt, you're going to have to go deep into AAA, and we know some of those arms are not ready to come.
Well, and that's why maybe bringing Chris Matt up right now doesn't make sense. Maybe you wait for somebody else to get hurt, or maybe you get to a point this season where you're like, Jose Ruiz isn't what you thought, and DFA or whatever. I think they're going to stick with Jose Ruiz.
I always kind of laugh, like when this, like when I go to minor league games, they always joke with me, just look at the 15th of May or like the 15th of June. And I'm like, why? What goes on then? And like, it's a running joke that they always say, oh, this is when like transactions are made around the organization. And they're usually pretty accurate with that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, it's when guys have opt-outs and some of the
Yeah. It's always the opt-out day. Exactly.
So, guys, let's leave it here. I mean, it's an interesting week. 4-3. I was expecting a 5-2. That's what I said last week. I mean, this week is a little rougher. I mean, anything
they
on the
were
Cubs
4 outs
before
away from 5-2.
Yeah, you're gonna make me cry, dude. Anything else on the Cubs? I know they can hit. They were in a slugfest again with Arizona a couple of days ago. I mean, the game was 13 or 14-13, some
That was
crazy
like the
number
game.
like that.
That was like the comeback of the year.
I think there's going to be a lot of tweets about the Phillies should sign Kyle Tucker later this week.
Yeah,
Does he solve a lot of their problems? I like Kyle Tucker.
He's a great player, but I don't
Yeah.
think they're signing Kyle.
I mean, Dombrowski spoke this morning in Sirius XM, and he basically said that I think a couple of things. He expects Schwarber to remain as a Philly. If Schwarber is here, Tucker, I mean, it's not coming. I mean, that's the first thing. And then the second thing here that he mentioned, he spoke very, very highly of Andrew Painter. He mentioned the word Cy Young material. I mean, that's how he categorized him. What was that?
He's not wrong.
He's comparing him to Justin Verlander. I mean, you don't do that, especially when you're the guy that also drafted Justin Verlander. You don't do that if you don't think extremely highly of him.
And he said, I mean, I think the thing that kind of, I mean, caught my attention the most. He mentioned his command, his ability to command his pitches at his age is really, really special. I mean, I saw this kid throw in Clearwater. I mean, he was, I mean, to both Stott, March, and Baum. He struck out Baum on a slider that I'm still like, whoa. I was just behind the plate looking at it. It was very, very impressive.
And what stood out to me about him in spring training is I'm in the clubhouse and he's around guys that are Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, Bryce Harper, Schwarber. They're all at least 10 years older than him. And he didn't seem to to stick out like a sore thumb or anything. I guess that's when you're 6'7", you fit in any setting. But I think he'll fit right in once he comes up.
He's very mature for his age.
Well, and he's a Boris guy. He's well media trained and everything. Like he's ready for whenever he comes up. Like I get it makes perfect sense to hold him off. But if he had to pitch in the majors today, I think he'd do just fine.
Well, guys, I mean, leaving tomorrow morning to go to New York and have an interesting series. Last time we were there, it was not fun at all. So I expect a lot more fun stuff this week than we did last time we were there. But hopefully our hitters needs to step up this week big time. I mean, we're going to have to hit our way into having a winning record this week. I wouldn't mind finishing the week, this week is 6 games or is 7 games? 6 games?
6.
So I'm expecting. I mean, ideally 4-2. If we go 3-3, it wouldn't be the end of the world.
I think 3-3 is a good week.
Yeah, and hopefully 2-1 with the Mets. That's what we need.
It's a good week, especially knowing going in game 1, you're going to have some trouble most likely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in terms of standings, the Phillies are 2 games behind the Mets. The Mets are 15-7. We're 13-9. The Braves are slowly playing better. They're playing better. The Braves are, believe it or not, the Braves are 6-2. They won 8. They're 8-13, and they're 6-2 at home, which is interesting. Remember, they started the season on the road. They won the last 3 games. So the Mets
there's some clubhouse controversy right now with the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah,
to say the least.
Yeah, to say the least. But I mean, they've been. I mean, we know the Braves. At the end of the day, they're gonna be there. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining us today for another week of Phillies Weekly. Hope you enjoy the show. Subscribe to the button. I mean, with the button on. We're in YouTube. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook, and we're on X every single week. Every one of these guys are regulars. I mean, particularly Tim. I've been pushing Tim to come every week, but he's like hesitant yet.
Tim's got a life. So.
Yeah, Tim has a life. He comes every other week. But Tyler, thank you. Thank you for your stats of the week. I mean, Tim, where can we follow you in social media?
At Tim Kelly Sports on every social media platform I'm aware exists.
Tim is the
Also,
best.
subscribe to Phillies Stoplight on YouTube.
Yeah, on YouTube and on Patterson. I mean, you lead the way in on Patterson. Thank you for everything you do there. Tyler, where can we follow you?
Just at Phil's Tailgate. I'm on X, Blue Sky, Instagram. So we'd appreciate
He's
it.
the man.
Tim, are
He's
you
the
going to
man.
promote something for us? You have a really good interview coming out.
Yeah, tomorrow with John Miller. I put out snippets, but the full thing will be coming out on the YouTube channel. So
Okay, we'll make sure
subscribe
we
to
retweet.
Phillies Stoplight on YouTube.
Phillies Spotlight in YouTube.
Stoplight. Like,
stoplight. That's true. It's
like a
Patterson.
traffic light,
It's
but
Patterson.
stoplight.
Stoplight. Sorry,
The
guys.
logo
Sorry.
on Patterson is a stoplight. That's the
All right. So we're gonna go and stoplight here. Thank you, guys. Tim, thank you for your time. Truly appreciate it. Same to you, Tyler. Thank you for all your effort. Steve Potter, thank you for your stats. And Jeff, you're the best partner in the world, man.
Yeah, you know what, guys? If I sound stupid next week, it'll be because will be so drenched in NFL draft coverage and trying to talk people off the ledge of the fake AJ Brown stuff, and the Eagles are trading. I do think the Eagles are going to trade up, by the way. But they're not trading up to 3 or 4.
Yeah, no, they're trading. I mean, if they move five spots, we'll be happy with that. And not.
But it is a big week for me. So if I do miss some Phillies games, I do apologize.
So one thing is important. Next week, the Phillies play at night. So instead of doing it, what is it? The 20? Let me check the day. The 27th. We're gonna do it Monday, the 28th, and we have a very, very special guest, right? Jeff, do we want to give him the name or not yet?
Yeah, no, we can do it. We got Sports Radio WIP's Rob Ellis joining us next Monday.
Rob Ellis will be here with us next week. We're gonna have some fun with Rob. I remember one of the things that I remember from Rob is the trade for Bradford. Remember that trade when we traded Nick Foles for Bradford? I'll never forget it. I was listening. I said, "What's going on here? What happened?" I mean, but hey, it's some of the memories that we go back on memory lane. So thank you guys. Looking forward. So it's at 7 p.m. next Monday, the 28th. We'll be live with Phillies Weekly.
Yeah, Rob and I go way back. Him and I, we love to talk shop. He always has me in WIP booth when he hosts Phillies pregame stuff. I'm at the ballpark. I'm glad he's joining us. He was more than thrilled to join us for next week.
Yeah, we said Chip Kelly did what? Remember the old times. So the old Chip Kelly.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, again, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. I mean, subscribe to our channels. We're here for you guys and looking forward to next week. And go Phils and go Eagles, too. We can put some Eagles there. Come on.
Lanzamiento, aquí viene un batazo de Mundito entre right center field, la bola pica, se extiende, viene anotando Spot, empata el juego, también manda para la bola Turner anota y los Phillies se van arriba. Se prepara Mundito en segunda, el lanzamiento, batazo profundo para el center field, la bola se va, Schwarber Bob, ¡campanazo! Aquí viene el lanzamiento. Swing y